Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here today. I'm, of course, Barry Guy. I will be presenting this week's episode of Banghead Financial. We'll let you know what is going on in the financial markets to the best of my ability. So, what has been happening? Obviously, the Elon Twitter deal is apparently back on, and also released this particular week has been the CPI data, which I believe came out on Thursday. It is sitting at 8.2% for September over the course period of the last 12 months. That is a 0.4% gain from this particular, or September 2021. Now, I got some questions as to, first of all, what is CPI data, and also why should I care about this? So this particular week, I will inform the masses out there what CPI data is and also why you need to be caring about it. In order to talk about CPI data, we need to talk about two other particular statistics. One is the PCE data and the PCI data. Now, what are these two particular things? Let's just go ahead and start off with PCI. PCI is the producer price index. It basically just represents the amount of inflation that has been brought about from someone who produces a particular good and then sells it to someone else. So basically, this is at the production type of level. It does not reflect at all what the consumer pays for, when they actually make purchase on said item. This particular index more or less refers to manufacturing, agriculture, construction, waste, and also scrap metals. This index does not account for any sort of taxes brought, about by particular transactions. This statistic is provided by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, who also provide the CPI data. This particular index is more used for projecting and tracking GDP growth. The second index that we will discuss here today is the PCE, which is defined as the personal consumption expenditures. Now, this particular number is given to us by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. This particular number is more or less, defined as what businesses are selling. It also should be noted that this has a different weighted system than the PPI and the CPI. For an example, this is just one example. The CPI does not account for higher costs in the healthcare system that an employer has to pay in order to keep, their employees insured. However, the PCE does. So, let's move on to realistically the main topic of conversation here. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index. This refers more or less to the median prices that urban consumers are paying for goods and services. It takes multiple median costs of goods and services from a varying amount of categories, and it basically gives us an idea of where we're at on inflation. Now, it should also be noted that all three of these particular indexes, account for basically what the Fed decides to do as far as, interest rate hikes that obviously we've all been hearing about over the course of the past few months. This is also, provided by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, along with the PPI, versus the PCE, which is the Bureau of Economic Analysis. They are the ones that provide that particular statistic. As far as CPI, these, the particular categories that are included in those are, obviously food, energy, rent and housing, medical care, transportation, and clothing. The way that the information is gathered is, it obviously changes monthly over the course of, it changes over the course of a month, but it is reported as a 12-month statistic, i.e., so when the number is 8.2% through September, that is from October 1st to September 30th of this calendar year. There, is also going to be a monthly change because you will lose, September 2021 data, and it will be replaced with, the September 2022 data in order to give us, that 12-month statistic. Now, the best way that I could probably describe how these three particular indexes and, statistics work in order to judge, not necessarily even judge inflation yet, but I mean, we will get into that, is, okay, the PPI starts off at the producer and it goes to retail, which, is accounted for in the PCE. And then it goes to the consumer who buys from the retailer. And that gives us our CPI data. Now, to answer the second question, why is this important? The CPI data particularly represents how, basic cost of living, how much that has gone up over a 12-month period. For an example, let's just take Social Security for, a basis of, for an exploratory kind of route. More than likely, the federal government, and this could be a terrifying notion that we might have a, discussion about here at the end of this video. If they increase Social Security, let's just take an average for the entire year, 8%. Let's just say that number. If they increase Social Security payouts by 8%, that would be the, median cost of living throughout the, entire year. So also at the same point in time, companies that do not account for this particular 8% pay increase, everyone who is, providing services for said companies are actually getting paid less than they were at this point in time last year. Now, there is also a, what's a good way to say this? They also, have, different aspects of the CPI data, which, they define as core CPI data. And this does not, account for cost increases in food, transportation, and energy. Now, these are also volatile markets, so that is why they discount them as non-core CPI data. However, at the same point in time, we all have to, make those purchases in order to carry out our everyday lives. As far as, I'll just go ahead and end with this thought. If they come out and they raise Social Security payouts by 8%, which would be the basis of inflation on average, I would say, over the course of the last 12 months, how can that, continue? Social Security is already basically a failing premise at this point in time. Not enough is getting paid in and way too much is coming out. So, someone like me who won't be able to collect Social Security for, another 20 some years, how can we expect that program to actually be there when we are ready to, tap and use it? The other thing, that worries me is also why would we continue to pay into a system that we know for a fact just isn't going to be there? I kind of believe that this will be the start of the collapse of the entire Social Security system. There you go. You heard it here first. A Banghead Financial special. At least a Banghead Financial special prediction. So, like I said, I got a couple questions, is like, what is CPI? So that's a general overview. Obviously, there are caveats and nuances behind it, but hopefully at least you realized why you should actually care about this particular data that comes out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm, of course, Gregor Guy, and thank you for watching Banghead Financial. Everyone remember to keep your heads up.